freestyling this warm-up. Just moving around. Goal is to get loose. Nothing special, right? Low back has been bothering me just a little bit. So I'm going to take my time here. Really extend this warm up. Go slow. Right at the bottom where my spine meets my pelvis. Sacrum, is it? Coccyx? I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to do one rep. Sink it low, pause at the bottom. Not a bad first set. Sometimes it takes that first working set for me to really feel like the juices are flowing, get a good sweat on, to finally feel like I'm limber and loose. I'm gonna stick with 495 again, body that one more time, and then I'll definitely go up for the last two sets. Something that's been mulling around in my mind is this idea of effective reps for hypertrophy, and that you have to reach a certain threshold of RPE or motor unit recruitment in order for there to be any like noticeable gains over time, that is. And I don't know if the same is true for strength. Like I don't know, I probably could have done who knows how many more of that first set, but it's hard for me to believe that a set of 500 for 5, even if it's sub 6 RPE, is not beneficial somehow, some way from a strength or power perspective, especially if the intent is there. Been reading Aches and Pains, Volume 1 by Louis Guilford. I think I said that correctly. And I'm on like page 100, but one of the main points that I've gathered is that pain is often context dependent, and that because we're conscious creatures, the context through which we are currently experiencing the pain, or the context that we're currently in, will have a pretty massive effect on the magnitude of the pain that we feel. For instance, I've been talking about how my low back has been somewhat bothering me. Right now it actually feels pretty good. And it's probably because subliminally or consciously, I understand that I'm exercising right now, and that if I want to get a good session in, I really can't feel that pain. And so there's most likely some inhibition going on to the first order neurons or the second order neurons that are being synapsed to those first order neurons that ultimately end up at my low back. And so although that's a really good thing that I'm not feeling it right now, I should probably still keep that in mind, because it's not like whatever's going on there, that tissue damage or that stress, has simply vanished. It's still there. I'm just not currently experiencing it like I normally would in a normal situation. Alright, the idea is 5. I want to keep it at 9 though, so if I get to like 3 or 4, it's feeling heavy, I'll stop there. But if I lock in, I should be able to get this. Just gotta believe. Ooh, pinless. We're gonna go snatches from some high blocks, and I absolutely suck at these. So that feels useful to explore. It's like, why do I suck at them? If I figure that out, I mean, objectively, I'm better at snatching, right? A lot of it has to do with me not committing from the block. For some reason, I just tend to not extend as much as I normally would. So that is the goal for today. If there's one thing I'm thinking about, it's probably overemphasizing that extension and getting the bar back more, and seeing if that helps correct itself. Nothing like doing that first snatch of the day. Probably better off just sending it, right? And not being cautious. Let's go ahead and put some mustard on that bad boy. Probably the less I think, the better here. You know what I mean? Like, just come up to the bar, thinking about getting that bar back. And then outside of that, just go. Don't wait. Okay. Well. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Don't think, just go. Don't think, just go. Almost lost that back, but we got it. I'd rather miss the back than forward right now. There are three, not discrete, but in terms of like discussing them so we can actually talk about motor learning, there's three stages that we can talk about. The first is cognitive, and then it goes into consolidation, I believe, and then recall. Cognitive is you're just starting out and it's taking a lot of your attention. Consolidation is that the motor memory is becoming a little bit more installed. It's easier to access, less errors, but it's not yet automatic. And then it gets into recall or automatic, where you don't really have to think of it. You don't really have to think about anything at all. For me, it feels like the block snatches are still probably in that cognitive stage where it's just taking up so much of my attention and it doesn't necessarily feel that familiar yet. And that's just a consequence of a lack of experience. Whenever you feel like that, you're performing a task and it feels a little bit unfamiliar, you feel like there's too much to focus on, just focus on one thing at a time. Which is why I told myself at the beginning of this, I'm just going to focus on getting the bar back because I usually miss it forward. And that seems to be helping. Try it again. Yes! No thinking, just go. Be aggressive. Not bad, not bad. A little forward. Had to walk it, but it's alright. Oof.